There is much to welcome in the Security Minister's statement today. I thank him for advance sight of it and more broadly for his update on the work of the Defending Democracy Taskforce. And I join him in remembering our colleagues who lost their lives in service of the public. As he rightly notes, all of us in this place have a sacred duty to protect and uphold the democracy which has made this country so great for so long. I know few understand this as well as those in the Speaker's office, Mr. Speaker, and all of our Madam Deputy Speakers. So let me take this opportunity to thank you on behalf of all members here for everything you do in public and in private to keep us all safe. Targeted and serious intimidation of democratically elected politicians, particularly where that intimidation escalates into credible physical threats, is a serious impediment to the functioning of our democracy. It is, of course, right that criminal behaviour is prosecuted and punished. At the same time, we have a duty to ensure that policing of genuinely criminal behaviour does not stray into policing of free speech or free expression. In individual cases, this can be a challenging balance to strike. I trust the Minister will approach these cases with the appropriate caution and sensitivity. While many aspects of the Minister's statement are encouraging, I am concerned that other members of this government have failed to approach this issue with the necessary caution or the necessary candour. We must be honest about the fact that, while violence against elected politicians can come from a wide variety of groups, the single biggest extremist threat to our country remains the threat of extremist Islamist violence. That threat is intimately tied up with a growing tendency towards sectarian politics in some parts of our country. As my right honourable friend, the Leader of the Opposition, said recently, separatism is on the rise in our country because, for too long, Britain has been complacent about our culture and too tolerant of those weaponising identity politics for their own gain. Yet, in its cohesion strategy published earlier this week, this government seemed unwilling to deal with this threat head-on. The strategy openly acknowledged the existence of communities in the UK living segregated or parallel lives. But rather than dealing with that problem directly, the government proposes a package which may only make this problem worse. More DEI in the public sector, an attempt to smuggle in so-called social engineering under the guise of social cohesion, advisory boards designed to manage tensions when it was exactly this focus on managing community tensions which allowed rape and grooming gangs to operate unchecked for so long in towns and cities across our country, and a new rebranded Islamophobia definition to be issued as guidance to public servants, which will have a chilling effect on their behaviour. This will make it harder to have open public discussions about subjects like female genital mutilation, grooming and rape gangs, and extremism, including any threats it may pose to our democracy. We have already seen that creating conditions in which people fear being branded as racist for keeping the public safe can create horrific outcomes. We must never again allow guidance like this to create a culture of fear which breeds inaction, cover-up or denial. The cohesion strategy is a recipe for further suppression of discussion of the threats that face us today and their root causes. We will not make the truth disappear by discouraging people from talking about it. That has never worked, and it will not work now. So again, I thank the Minister for his statement today and his work on tackling criminality towards elected officials. Can he assure us that his colleagues in government are as committed to dealing with this problem at its root as he himself seems to be?
Minister Jarvis.
Madam Deputy Speaker, let me firstly join with the Shadow Minister in expressing our, I'm sure, collective thanks to Mr Speaker, to all of the Deputy Speakers and all of the staff in this House for the important work that they do. It's hugely appreciated, and I know that we are very grateful to it. Let me try and find a point of consensus, difficult though that may be to do given what we've heard. I'd very much wanted to take the opportunity today to do this on a very much a cross-party basis. And in fact, I'd intended and will continue to take the opportunity to thank the work that was done by the previous government. In particular, I want to take the opportunity to pay tribute to my predecessor, the Right Honourable Member for Tonbridge, who set up the Defending Democracy Taskforce. It didn't exist before he was the Security Minister. he set it up. It is a very strong legacy for him because he invested a lot in it, and I hope that he will see how seriously we take that work. He passed the baton on to me, and I hope that he will see that, having taken the baton gratefully from him, we have sprinted forward with it. I was particularly pleased this week to chair a meeting of the Defending Democracy Taskforce that brought the whole of the system together. That was always his intention, that it would provide that fulcrum point to bring together the different constituent parts of government and law enforcement and the Electoral Commission to provide, if you like, a single version of the truth and make sure that we are properly resourcing all of those who work to keep us safe. I think and I hope that he'll be proud of the work that the task force is doing. He understands it's not just about periods of electoral activity. This is activity that takes place the whole year round. He knows how seriously I take it, and I was really grateful the other day to be reminded of the work that he'd done in terms of getting us to where we are now. And I hope that he will be pleased to acknowledge the progress that we've made in recent times, which I referenced in my introductory remarks. Not least, the government has introduced new legislation. It's important to bring forward legislation where it's required, which will restrict the protest outside the homes of public office holders. I don't think anyone really thinks that it is appropriate that MPs and their families should be targeted at home, and we are taking legislative action to prevent that from happening. The relationship, as the Right Honourable Gentleman will know, with the police is a very important one, and we work very closely with them to ensure that they've got the appropriate guidance that they need, particularly for police officers on the front line when responding to incidents involving elected representatives. And I'm particularly pleased to be joined on the front bench by the Minister for Democracy. She has other responsibilities, but that's a very important part of her remit. I'm really grateful to her for the important work that she has been doing in terms of the representation of the People Bill, which will introduce new measures to create a very powerful deterrent for those who would seek to intimidate those who serve in our democracy. Now, the Shadow Minister opposite, she did raise a point about policing priorities, and I understand why she would seek to raise that particular point. She will understand, not least from her time previously working in the Home Office, that the police are operationally independent, but it is important that we work closely with the police. That's why I particularly took the opportunity this morning to welcome the appointment of a new national lead for Defending Democracy. This is someone that I intend to work very closely with, and I think will provide an important focus for policing activity around the country. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, I am very sorry that the Honourable Lady opposite then chose to segue into matters that were not within the scope of this statement. I'm genuinely so sorry that she decided to do so, because, not least, I'd given the front bench opposite ample warning of my intention to come forward and bring a statement to this House today. I did so on the clear understanding that this is something around which we can unite as a House. That on this, of all occasions, as we stand and sit in the shadow of the shields, if we can't cooperate on this, then what can we cooperate? So I hope the Honourable Lady will reflect on her comments.